If you still believe Jesus came to create a religion called Christianity, they've fooled you. If you think the only true Gospels are the ones in the Bible, they've fooled you again. The truth is, Jesus taught a deeper path, one that was hidden, banned, and destroyed by those in power. He didn't ask people to worship him. He asked them to become like him. The Gnostic Gospels, those forgotten texts, show exactly what he meant. You weren't supposed to find this video, but if you have, maybe you're finally ready. Because once you hear these 10 lost teachings, you'll never look at Jesus the same way again. And maybe, you'll see yourself differently too. If everything you thought you knew about Jesus was backwards, would you have the courage to see it in a new way? What if the version of Jesus religion gave us wasn't the real one? What if the church made him into a king to hide that he came to awaken kings? People say he came to rescue us. But maybe he came to remind us that we're not broken, not fallen, we've just forgotten who we are. Forgotten the light we were made from. The kingdom inside us. The fire that once burned bright in our soul. This was the real message, the one they buried under fear, guilt, and gold. Not a message about sin, but about remembering who you really are. When Jesus said, "I and the Father are one," he wasn't trying to sound more important. He was handing you a mirror. You will do what I do, and more. Ask yourself, when was the last time a church told you that? They couldn't. Because if you really knew what you are, you wouldn't bow down, you'd stand up. And that's the first hidden teaching. Jesus didn't come to be worshipped. He came to wake up something inside you that religion wanted to keep asleep. He didn't want followers who knelt. He wanted people who saw the same truth in themselves. Because here's the secret, he wasn't just showing us God. He was showing us what God looks like inside a human. And the reason his message scared people in power so much is because it removed the need for middlemen. No more temples, no more rituals, no more someone standing between you and God. Just this, go within, be still, and remember. But power doesn't like people waking up. So Rome took the truth and turned it into something confusing. They turned the key into a lock. They turned the map into a maze. They took something clear and simple, and turned it into something that made people feel small. They told us God is out there, far away, angry, watching us. But Jesus said something bold, the kingdom of God is within you. Do you see the shift? He didn't come to start a religion. He came to break the illusion that we're separate from the divine. So if he didn't come to be worshipped, but to help us remember, then ask yourself, who are you really? And if that same divine breath is still moving through you, why do you feel so far from it? Maybe the truth wasn't just buried in a book or a tomb. Maybe it was hidden inside you all along. And that's just the beginning. In Chapter 2, we'll go even deeper into the teaching they tried hardest to erase, the one that said heaven isn't a place far away. It's not something you reach after death. It's a state of being, a level of awareness, a frequency. And once you learn how to tune into it, you'll see, you were never locked out. You were the doorway the whole time. They told us heaven comes after death. But what if that was the biggest lie? What if you don't go to heaven, what if you become it? Jesus never said heaven is a reward you get later. He said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. That wasn't poetry, it was truth. It was how the universe works. Heaven isn't later. It's now. Not some far-off place in the clouds, but a space inside your own breath. Heaven is a feeling of being in tune, of remembering your true self, of being one with something bigger. And the door isn't in the sky. It's inside you, in your breath, in your spine, in the quiet between your thoughts. That's the real work, to train your mind and body until they vibrate with the truth you never actually left. But this scared the people in charge. Because if you knew heaven was already in you, if you knew you didn't need permission, a priest, or payment to feel it, you'd stop giving away your power. You'd stop waiting for paradise and start living from it. Heaven was never a reward. It was always a power. A living field of light. A frequency your soul already understands. A kingdom that opens the moment you remember who you are. But they changed the story. They told you heaven was far away. That you had to earn it. That you weren't good enough to hold it. So they built big churches outside to make you forget the sacred place inside. Here's the second hidden teaching: heaven isn't a place you go. It's what wakes up in you when you stop searching. It's not for the perfect, it's for the aware. It begins when the inner fight ends. When you no longer believe you are separate from God. That's why Jesus used parables, because heaven isn't something you explain. It's something you feel. It's the treasure in the field. The pearl worth everything. The feast the world keeps ignoring. Let me ask you something: have you ever felt it in silence, in beauty, or in those tears that came out of nowhere? Didn't a part of you just know? That you were never really gone? That the garden still exists? Maybe all this time, you were just knocking on your own door. Heaven isn't some future place. It's right here. It's what you find when the noise fades away. Let the world keep chasing the sky, you came to bring heaven here. But if heaven is already inside you, what's keeping you locked out? If you carry guilt from a story written before you were even born, then they've done their job. The oldest lie ever told was that you were broken. But what if sin isn't a stain, just a forgetting? What if your soul was never lost, only covered in amnesia? And Jesus didn't come to fix you, he came to help you remember. You were never born wrong. You came full of light, then got taught to look away from it. You were told to kneel at altars, but never to light the fire inside your chest. Here's something they won't say from the pulpit: sin is not your true self. It's the mark left when you forget who you are. They told you the fall started with Eve. But what if it wasn't a fall? What if it was the first moment of remembering? What if the serpent wasn't evil, but a sign of waking up? What if Eve didn't bring sin, but opened the first eye? That fruit wasn't cursed, it was awareness. And awareness has always been a threat to control. Stop for a second. Close your eyes. Not to feel guilty, but to remember. Can you feel it? That little spark behind your ribs? That's not shame. That's you, coming back to yourself. Maybe the darkness you feared was only your light you hadn't looked at yet. What if you were never here to be rescued, but to remember your purpose? Because deep inside, you've carried echoes. Memories that don't belong to this lifetime. A longing you can't explain. And the moment you ask why, something starts to return. And if you've lived before, where were you? More importantly, why come back now? Here's a truth the church removed carefully: Jesus knew you've been here before. He spoke of Elijah coming again. He asked, "Who do you say I am?" Not because he didn't know, but because you once did. The early Gnostics knew this. So did the desert mystics. The soul doesn't come here just once. It returns. It learns. It remembers. But they turned the message into a fear-based trap tied to one lifetime. Jesus wasn't about that. He saw life as a path, and the body as something you wear for the journey. Why hide this? Because a soul that knows it can't be destroyed isn't scared. And a soul that can't be scared, can't be controlled. Reincarnation wasn't strange to early Christians. It was common. Life didn't start at birth or stop at death. It keeps going until the inner light is remembered. You're not one life old. You are a whole library in human form. And you being here now is not random. You're remembering because the time is now. You didn't find this by chance. You came with old timelines and something important to take back. So what did you come to reclaim? And if Mary knew it too, why was her story erased? Now let's break another lie. If Peter was the rock, Mary was the living truth. She wasn't some fallen woman. She was a seeker. The one who really understood Jesus, deeply, not just from the outside. That scared the early leaders, because her message didn't ask for blind faith. It offered direct knowing. No middleman needed. She called him the living one. He called her the one who knows. She wasn't just someone in the story, she carried the lost wisdom. She held the knowing of the serpent, the memory of the first light. But those in power couldn't let the sacred feminine shine equally. So they buried her. But not deep enough. Her voice is rising again, not from churches, but from you. If you felt a call to wisdom that goes beyond religion, one that doesn't ask you to follow but to remember, maybe that's her voice, stirring something inside you. This moment isn't just a pause, it's a doorway. And if you've stepped through it, like this video to guide others who are still lost. Comment, she is rising, not to follow, but to awaken the energy around you. Subscribe, not just for content, but as a promise to yourself, you won't forget again. You're not just curious. You were meant to find this. So let's keep going. Because what's next changes everything. But if Mary knew who she was, why do you still feel so far away from it? Maybe because something ancient has been hiding it. Not a devil, but something much quieter and harder to see. What if Earth wasn't the main place, but just a mirror? Plato said it. The mystics said it. Jesus lived it. He said this world isn't his kingdom, not because he rejected it, but because he remembered something beyond it. This body is a robe. This life is a play. And you? You're not from here. You came here like light through glass. What you see is just a reflection of something higher, purer, more real. That ache in you, it's not sadness. It's homesickness. That feeling like you don't quite fit? That's not wrong. That's your memory peeking through. And the more you remember, the more you rise. This place was never supposed to make you whole. It was meant to wake you up. The pain, the joy, the heartbreak, they're all clues. You came from light. And you will return, stronger, brighter. But only when you stop confusing the reflection for the source. You were never meant to just blend in. You came to remember. They gave you a cartoon villain. Red, horns, and a pitchfork. But maybe the real enemy isn't a monster at all. Maybe it's forgetting. Not being taken over, but being cut off. Because when you forget where you came from, you'll believe anything about where you're going. They didn't have to trap your body. They just had to block your memory. You don't need a ritual to drive something out, you need to remember who you are. Because the real fall of man wasn't breaking a rule. It was forgetting that you are light, full of stars, filled with the breath of the infinite. Every lie, every fight, every addiction, they were all meant to keep you asleep. They built churches from stone. But Jesus pointed to the temple of the body. They said, confess here. He said, the kingdom is inside you. You were told to look up, when the real doorway was under your ribs. Gnosis means direct knowing. Like the difference between reading about water and feeling it fall on your skin. Not belief. Not dogma. Just truth you can't deny. 3 things were taken from you, your inner knowing, your fire, and your sovereign light. But now they're returning. You don't need a sermon, you need to remember. And the ladder to heaven, it's not made of steps. It's made of memories. Each one brings you closer. So ask yourself, not, do I believe, but, do I remember? There's a reason this path is hidden. Because real truth is dangerous to lies. Jesus wasn't killed for being kind. He was killed for waking people up. And when you wake up, you'll be judged, mocked, even left out. But listen, that pain is a sign. That pushback is proof. That resistance? It means you're rising. You're not here to be liked. You're here to light the way. And when they try to dim you, shine even brighter. Because the Christ inside you does not bow. It rises. This is the teaching that scared them the most. The one they buried under rules, fear, and fire. Not because it was blasphemous, but because it was too powerful. You were taught that God was distant, above you, separate from you, watching from a throne. But the mystics knew, the Gnostics remembered, and Jesus shared it in every breath. God is not just a being. God is being itself. The breath in your lungs, the fire in your spine, the calm behind your eyes. That's not just you. That's Source waking up in you. You are not just a reflection of God. You are the expression, the spark, the energy, the flame, the I am wearing skin. The lie was separation. The truth is unity. And when you stop searching for the divine in temples and heavens, you start feeling it inside you. You were never meant to worship God. You were meant to embody God, not in pride, but in respect, not to control the world, but to heal it. Because when you awaken the divine within, you begin to see it in everyone else. And that's where heaven on earth begins. So I ask you, if Jesus became the Christ and the Christ lives within you, what are you waiting for? You are not a seeker anymore. You are a returner. You're not outside the kingdom. You are what brings it back. This is not the end. This is your rise. These weren't just teachings. They were pieces of the map hidden inside you. The kingdom was never in the sky. It was always in your breath. You were never a sinner. Just a star dimmed by forgetting. You don't need a book to find the light. You are the light. You've walked this path before. Felt the call, heard the whisper, died in silence, and now you've risen again in remembrance. Mary Magdalene knew. Jesus knew. The real battle was never with evil. It was with forgetfulness. This world is just the shadow of where you come from. You are a messenger of the Real. The Christ is not an idol. It is a code awakening in your DNA. Not through belief, but through knowing. Not through obedience, but through fire. And yes, this path will cost you. But only what was never really you to begin with. You are not waiting for revelation. You are the revelation. You are not outside the kingdom. You are the one who brings it back to earth. This is your turning. This is your rise. And now you remember. The question is no longer who he was. The question is, who are you becoming? If something ancient stirred in you, don't let it go back to sleep. This video found you for a reason. Let it find others too. Like this video, not for vanity, but as a signal fire for the forgotten ones still in the dark. Comment below, I remember. Let others know they're not alone. Subscribe not to us but to the awakening current in your soul. Because this is not just a channel. It's a call. A call to the inner church. Not built with bricks, but with knowing, with light, with you. The path doesn't end here. It begins now. And when you're ready, the next revelation will find you. Until then, walk in light. And never forget who you are. You are the revelation. You are the return. Do you remember?